Hello friends, my name is Zenith KJ from Wings Training Solutions. In this video, we are going to discuss Infosys specific error spotting questions. So let's get started. The first question what I have for all of you says the child together with his grandmother and his parents are going to the beach. As it's an error spotting question, we all know very well, once we spot the mistake in any parts of the sentence, our job is actually done. You don't have to correct the sentence. That's why it's called error spotting. Okay. However, in this video, we're not only going to find out the answer to each of the questions, we will even talk about what is the correction to the mistake. Plus, we will even talk about the concepts which are working behind each of these mistakes. So what do you think is the mistake here in a sentence? I'm sure if you have the eyes of eagle, then you must have already identified the mistake. It lies in part C. Look at the word are. Friends, this question is actually based on subject-verb agreement. The first question what I have for all of you over here says, the child together with his grandmother and his parents are going to the beach. So which part of the sentence do you think has a mistake in it? I'm sure if you have the eyes of eagles, you must have already identified the mistake because it lies in option C. Okay. What is the mistake here? Look at the word are. So why is this a mistake? Friends, this question is actually based on the basics of English grammar, that is subject-verb agreement. Alright. What the subject-verb agreement actually tells us? In every sentence, there is going to be a subject and a verb without fail. So when the subject is singular in a sentence, the verb also should be singular in the same sentence. And the other part of the same rule says, when the subject is plural in a sentence, the verb also should be plural in the same sentence. Unfortunately, this rule doesn't seem to be working over here in the sentence. So let's see how it is not working. The child together with his grandmother and his parents. Okay. The word which is playing a key role here is together with. Usually whenever we look at words like together with, as well as, along with, in addition to, accompanied by, including, and sometimes just the word with. So whenever any of these words are used in a sentence, we assume these words are equivalent to the word and, which is usually a word which plays the role of plural. Okay, but in reality, is it so? No. These correlative conjunctions are originally considered singular and they cannot be compared to the word and. The second thing what we have to know about these words, my dear friends, is whenever any of these correlative conjunctions are used in a sentence, using two commas right before the usage of any of these correlative conjunctions and closing the comma with the second comma in the sentence right before the verb actually becomes compulsory, and this makes our job very easy. Intently, sometimes in many company specific question papers, they might not apply the two commas to make the sentences very complicated for you. Okay, all you have to do is just make sure that you apply the two commas. So as I said, where should I apply the first comma in the sentence? Right before the correlative conjunction. The correlative conjunction what we are using here in the question is together with. So right before that I have applied the first comma. Where should I apply the second comma? The second comma should be applied right before the verb. Right? What is the verb in the sentence? The verb is are. Correct? So let me apply the second comma. Now please read the sentence. What does the sentence say? The child are going to the beach. Friends, point to be noted, these commas are applied with a purpose. The first comma in the sentence is applied to make us all understand whatever is written before the first comma should only be considered as your subject. And the second comma is applied to make us understand whatever is written after the first comma and before the second comma is basically additional information. So in other words, if you ask me, you shouldn't be even breaking your head unnecessarily on what is written after the first comma and before the first comma. That's when you would be directly be able to connect the subject with the verb. Then you can easily see the mistake in the sentence. So obviously nobody says the child are going to the beach, because in this sentence, my dear friends, my subject is the word child. Is it singular or plural? Singular. What is the verb? Are. Is it singular or plural? Plural. But is it matching with each other? No. What's the singular version of are? Is. So the sentence has to be the child together with his grandmother and his parents is going to the beach. Hence friends, the mistake lies in option C. The word are has to be changed to is. That's the only correction. Let's look at the next question now. It says, Pakistani government has turned a deaf ear to the advices of Indian government for peace. If you look at it with bare eyes, trust me, you might not be able to see any mistakes at all in the whole sentence. Because usually we tend to commit these kind of mistakes in our day-to-day conversation. Okay. However, as per my knowledge, as I've experienced and seen many company-specific question papers, in error spotting, people tend to come up with minute mistakes, okay, which we usually tend to overlook. So what's the mistake in the sentence? It actually lies in part C again. Please read, to the advisors. Friends, what is the plural of the word advise? The plural of advise is advise, right? Advise is actually both singular and plural. There is nothing as such called advices, which is an incorrect word used in an incorrect manner in our day-to-day conversation, left, right and center. By any chance, if you're very interested to make advise look very different both in singular form as well as in plural form, you can choose to use a piece of advice, which means an advice. Hey, I would like to give you an advice. I gave him a piece of advice. Both are actually equivalent to each other. And how do you make this plural? Pieces of advice. If you convert this to the second version, what we have over here, it stays as advice. It never becomes advices. So that's the reason why there is a mistake in part C of the sentence. Let's go to the next question now. The government is not taking pain to alleviate poverty. Where do you think is the mistake in the sentence? If you have already eyed it on the right part of the sentence, bravo, big thumbs up to you. If you haven't, then you can pause the video, you can take some time to identify the mistake. Once again, the answer actually lies in part C. Please look at the word pain. See, this word we use it left, right and center in our day-to-day conversation, correct? But there are two pains. Which are they? The first pain, what we all know we use, is nothing else but suffering. Am I correct? Any kind of suffering. Physical suffering, mental suffering, emotional suffering, intellectual suffering. It could be any kind of suffering. Okay. There is another word called pains. You can't use this version in the form of suffering. I have lots of pains in my body. You can't say that. That's actually incorrect. Pain remains same in both singular and plural versions. So you cannot use pains in that context. But what is the meaning of the word pains? Friends, pains actually means making a conscious effort. So as you're talking about government, which is not taking pain, in other words, you're trying to say, if you do the fill in the blanks here with your own words, with simple vocabulary, it means he's not taking any action to alleviate poverty. Okay. So to express this, the right word which should have been used here in the sentence is definitely not pain. It is actually pains. Why is it not taking any careful, cautious effort is the question which has been asked in the question. So the answer to this question has to be option C. Let's look at the next question. The USA is aiming at double its bilateral trade with India by 2015. The answer, my dear friends, actually lies in option B, because there is a mistake here in the part. The word double has to be changed to doubling. Now the question comes into picture, why? Friends, please look at the prepositional phrase which is used right before the word double. It says aiming at. Okay, whenever you use prepositional phrases, aiming at, desirous of, keen on, hesitate in, etc., you are expected to keep the next action word, that is nothing else but verb, in the gerund form. What is the meaning of gerund form? In simple words, make sure the action word is in ing form. Okay, for example, if I say I'm aiming at scoring 90%, we are desirous of purchasing a BMW. I'm keen on knowing you more. If you did pay attention consistently, the next immediate word which I used after aiming at, desirous of, keen on, have been kept in ing form, and that's actually how it should sound like. Okay, so that's why the word double has to be changed to doubling. The growing operation between India and UK has been manifested in all walks of life, be it history, politics, culture, or language. You know what? They've actually come up with something so minor in the sentence that it must not be even visible to most of us. Right? Look at this. The mistake lies in part A of the sentence, and the mistake is nothing else, my dear friends, but the UK. It's not just UK, it is the UK. Friends, this question is actually based on the usage of articles. We all know a and the are considered as articles. A and an, indefinite articles, the definite article. We are clearly aware of that. There is a rule connected to the usage of definite article the. What does it say? It says whenever you talk about countries like UK, USA, UAE, Gulf, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, West Indies, Philippines, you should use the definite article the right before the usage of any of these names. Why? Because these countries are not single countries like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or Nepal. No, these are group of countries. Okay, as they are group of countries, you should always call them as the UK, the USA, the UAE, the Gulf, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, the West Indies, the Philippines. That's how the rule is all about. Point to be noted, apart from these countries, we never tend to use the definite article the with any other country. The International Law of Human Rights now comprises of more than 80 universal and regional conventions, which have binding force for state parties. Okay, another minor mistake in a major question, my dear friends. The mistake lies in part A of the sentence. Look at the word comprises of. We might have to go back to a little bit of basics over here. Okay, this is called redundancy. So what is a redundancy? Repetition of two words back to back which convey the same message. Okay, for example, we all have this habit of using discuss about. Discuss is equal to talk about, and talk about is equal to discuss. If you are able to notice this, the word about, especially the meaning about, already lies in discuss. Okay, as I said, discuss is equal to talk about is equal to discuss. Just do this exercise so that you can understand it even better. If you remove discuss from here and include talk about and read it, what does it become? Talk about. This is the redundancy, right? Why would you use the word about twice? Exactly. So whatever you discuss directly. Let's discuss the problem. Let's discuss the solution. Let's discuss the wedding. We discussed the event last night. Whatever you discuss doesn't matter. Make sure you are discussing without the word about. Exactly in the same manner, friends, the word comprise. What is the meaning of the word comprise? It means consists of. Right? It means consists of. Okay, comprise is equal to consists of, and consists of is equal to comprise. When you use consist, using of becomes compulsory, but when you use comprise, you're not supposed to use of at all. Whatever it comprises, it means it contains, it consists of. That meaning is already conveyed with the word comprise. So why would you unnecessarily want to use the preposition of? Okay, that's why the answer to this question, my dear friends, has to be the International Law of Human Rights now comprises more than 80 universal and regional conventions, which are binding force for state parties. Friends, that's all I've got for all of you in this video. And please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.